The goal of this video is to show you how to create a pattern with style lines. Style lines are basically any dart rotation that then becomes a seam. So the most common one is a princess line, but again, a dart is always in a pattern. So in the case of a princess line, we've just moved the dart into an actual seam. So I'm following along with the book on the classic princess style line. A princess style can come from the armhole or it can come from the shoulder point. So for this video, I'm going to be showing you just as it is in the book, which is from the shoulder. So the first point that we want to do is we want to have our block piece here. You always want to make a copy of your block. So go ahead and copy it and then paste so that you have your original block, that you always save that original block and you have that original fit there. And again, I'm using the 2 dart block. So I also can get rid of my slope lines and my cross chest. You just want to be careful that you don't distort your piece. So we do need to do things a little bit out of order according to manual drafting. Because for a CAD program we need to have some separate pieces in order to do the things in sequence as the author has in the textbook. And again, I'm referring to the classic princess style. So the first thing that the author mentions is to note that the princess is going to be exactly where the back shoulder dart is, which is halfway. So I'm going to use add point, proportion of 0.5, and I have my halfway point. Now we're going to skip the next couple of steps that are in the book and go on to figure 2, and then we'll backtrack. So figure 2 has that you need to make a mark at 3/4 of an inch beyond the bust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the bust dart here, and I want to make this bust dart 3/4 of an inch longer. So it's 5 inches, so I'm going to make it 5 3/4. Now this is just a guide. Okay, so I have it 5 3/4. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate it. So I'm going to go up to dart and I'm going to rotate dart to point, and I'm going to select my point on my shoulder, and I'm going to close my bust dart here. So you can see that you have the shoulder dart and you've got the closed bust dart that is shown in figure 3. Now I need to separate these 2 pieces so that I have a center front and I have a side front. So to do that, I'm going to first draw a line from the tip of my shoulder dart to the tip of my waist dart there. So I just have a little line, a draft line, and then I'm going to use trace segments. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start at that draft line, and you start on the lower dart leg of the waist dart, the waist, the side seam, the armhole, the shoulder, and the lower side of the shoulder dart. And you go ahead and you say yes. Now what we need to do is we need to move this piece away, and then zoom all here, and we're going to then trace the center front piece. Now I'm going to use the upper leg of my waist dart and the upper side of my shoulder dart there. And so you see that I have 2 new pieces. Now you know that these are correct because see, the darts are right there. Now I can go ahead and get rid of this draft piece and work with the pieces that I now have. Now she has that again, that we want a point that was 2 inches above and below the apex, and the apex was where that dart was. So see, I have a guideline here right now, but that piece right here is right on that point. So I'm going to first, I'm going to delete these little points. Sorry, I'm going to add a point first, and then I will delete those points. So I want to add a point right where the bust apex meets my new outside edge. I'm going to make that a grading point. And then I am going to move these points so that they are 2 inches above and below my apex. And so I am moving these guys again. To move just a 1/16 of an inch more. Okay. So you notice it's 2 inches above, 2 inches below. And that's what she has as a mark actually in figure 1. So you see that we backtrack to figure 1 there. Then at those marks right there, we're actually going to put a notch. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my notch. They should be slit notches that in woven, almost always you use a slit notch. And you just go ahead and click on OK there for your slit notch. Then we also need to curve and kind of shape our edges here. So first thing that we want to do here is take that gray point that we have and make it a curve so that it curves out, it looks nice. Then we want to add a curve point, and if I hold down the shift key, automatically becomes a curve. And I want to add that to kind of above and below my notches there. Then you move them. And again, if we're looking at the book, at the top, she has that the distance is 1/16 of an inch. Here we go, 1/16. And at the bottom here, you move it in 1/8. And so we're always going at an inward curve. We're going to 1/8 on D. So here I have my nice shaping. I always want to square my corners as well, but here's my shape for my side. I want to relabel this as my side front. It is part of the front. It is self. And I need to have 2 side fronts with an opposite piece. Now my other piece here is my center front. It is a front piece. This is a princess line. And I only have one. That's going to be on a fold. Okay. So now if we flip the page, you'll see that we need to kind of true up my center front piece. And I true it up by just taking out my grade points. So I make it nice and straight. Now the last little thing that you need to do with your center front here is that you need to make sure that these pieces walk. So I'll need to flip over my side here. And usually I try to walk it from the bottom. So I'm going to take the bottom and I'm going to click on my green line here, and I should be able to walk my piece. So it should be able to walk exactly. Now if it does not, you go back to figure number 5 that's in the book, and you'll notice where she has to cut and to spread. And so this would be just if the piece is too short, but my piece does match here, so this is good. So you do want to walk it to make sure that it does indeed match. Then the last bit is to make sure that we straighten up our grain lines, that our center front should be parallel to the grain. So just make sure that we are rotated to the grain line, or excuse me, the grain line parallel to segment there, and so that it is straight, and that the side seam is also on the straight of grain as it is shown here. But this would be the straight of grain. And you would just add your seam allowances after you set your piece and open up your piece there. So these would be your two front pieces. Now we want to move on to the back. And so you want to go ahead and get your back bodice piece and make a copy. And then you want to, of course, save that original, so you have your back copy. And then I'm going to get rid of my graph lines here. Okay. So when we're taking a look at the back, it's very similar to the front. We already have our darts in place. And so what we need to do is start at the apex of the waist. And then if you hold down the shift key, you add a nice little curve point in here. Another little curve point. And aim directly towards the apex of the shoulder dart. So we have a nice little curve. Then we're going to trace segments. So I'm going to start with the bottom and the lower side of both my waist and my shoulder darts. And I'm going to trace the center back with the upper part of the dart blade. And now I can remove my back piece. So I have my two back pieces here. If we have extra points on our pattern, we just get rid of those extra points. Sometimes if they're created when we have done a draft line there, and we just need to kind of get rid of them so that we have a straight line and our curve. And then we want to make a curved piece, a curved, and a grading piece. Now we need to match up our pieces here. So we have our notches here with the front, and we want to make, again, corresponding pieces with the back, so that there are, again, some notches in there. And we want to get rid, again, of excess grading pieces. Grading pieces should only be at corners. And I also want to make sure that my piece indeed does walk. And so I'm going to walk from the bottom, make sure that it does match, needs to match. So it does indeed match there. So I did my piece right. And then I can go ahead and notch, get a slip notch, and this time I just want to make sure that I'm paying attention to the from previous or from next. And so I can designate a particular point. For example, I can make sure that it is, say, 2.5 inches from the shoulder. And I would just want to do the same identical add some extra grade points in there. Gotta get rid of those extra grade points, as well as notches here. Okay, so let's add a notch here now at my 2.5 so that it matches up with my side front. And I'll add another one, let's say 4 from the bottom. Okay, so then my notches will then again add up. Now, for my seams, I can do a global seam, all pieces, and go ahead and put 0.5. But when I am actually sewing my princess line, we actually should be only a 1/2 inch on the side seams and a 1/2 inch on the armhole and the shoulder. But on internal seams, where we're doing our princess line, we should be a 1/4 of an inch. So we need to go back in here and designate these as a 1/4 of an inch. So when I am again designating my princess line, I don't want to have bulky seams. Okay, so again I want 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, and then 1/4. So I'm going to have my pieces here. I have one more that I need to fix. Just make sure that you don't make all of them a 1/4 of an inch. Then of course you want to label your pieces. Make sure that we have like our side back. Here is a okay description. Again, princess line. It is self. And side back has 2 with a both. Oops. And then our backs generally do have 2 because we frequently are putting a zipper down the back, although you don't have to. You put a zipper down the side. That this would be my center back piece. Do the European spelling of center. And And the last thing, again, of course, is to arrange the work area there. Got all of my pieces, so I should have my side back, my side front, my center back, my center front. And if I scattered the pieces, you would have the multiple pieces. And there you're done.